it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it.
And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Head to Head. I am your host, Brian Parker, and we have our panel here today. Before we get started, this episode of Head to Head is brought to you by Nature's Craft. Yes, why? Because it helped me with my gout flare-up that I just had this week for the first time in over a year. Talking about something real painful, other than an ex-wife, next thing to it is gout. Trust me. Anyway, and also you can get some supplemental cream called Penetrex. Trust me, it is really just for inflammation. But trust me, there is a warm sensation. Just saying. Anyway. Yeah, so I had a gout flare-up for the first time in over a year and a half, and my big toe was on fire.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! I told my wife, painful. I said, if you accidentally touch it, I can't guarantee what I won't do to you. So
right.
I'm gonna have to hurt it real bad. But thankfully she
did have it about 2 years ago, and couldn't even put a sheet on. It was that. So we treated it, got rid of it, but this time around, I had a flare up, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago. Apple cider vinegar for me.
Yep.
Took it right away. No issues, no pain, nothing. 2 days of apple cider vinegar, took it right away.
You just drunk it straight, or? You
take a cap full, put it in about 8 ounces of water, stir it up, drink it through a straw twice a day, and it, boom, magically gone. Magic.
Okay. I like this stuff because it's actually got that cherry extract that helps break down the uric acid buildup as well. Right. So
that's a pill?
It is. It's a supplemental pills. You can actually get it off of Amazon. This is about 60 capsules, and it was about $12, I believe. And
nice.
If you're a Prime member, that means free shipping. So
there you go.
Next day delivery. Can't complain.
There you go.
So I know I talked to Jermaine the other day, and I was like, oh my God, dude, oh my God. And the last day and a half, man, I've been running and zipping back around again. I'm back to my old self, chasing my wife around the house and everything. So good for me, not so much for her. So anyway, also before we get started too, just to remind everybody, InPower is available on Roku. Head to Head actually does show on Roku as well as our YouTube channel as well. If you'd like to be a panelist on the show, you can always reach out to us at theparkermedia@gmail.com. Let me know. Make sure you let me know you're not overly crazy. You ain't a QAnon person, and we'll get you on the show just like that. Or if you have a product, a good, a service, or event that you would like us to advertise or sponsor, please use the same address, theparkermedia@gmail.com, and we will definitely do that so that I don't have to pitch products called Penetrex. Anyway, so like I should have some Barry White music in the background.
Well, I think after you say it, you have to give it a little wink. You know what I mean? You always do that. Yeah.
Brought to you by Penetrex.
There you go.
I'm trying not to laugh.
Anyway, as you can see, we try to keep the mood light because sometimes we talk about some heavy or crazy stuff. So it's good to be able to laugh at yourself and have a good perspective and everything. At this time, I'm gonna welcome my panelists on. Mr. Brad Compton, how you doing, sir?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Man, I am beautiful. Nothing is finer than being in Carolina. That's what we say. Ain't that right, Mr. Jermaine Parker?
Hey, man. Thanks for having me back, man. I'm doing great. Happy to be back with you and Brad.
Absolutely. Now, some of our other panelists were not able to join us today, but as Jermaine did say, the three strongest are here. Now,
hey, you gotta go with your lead dogs. You gotta go with your lead dogs.
You gotta go with your
Brian,
lead.
you're always innocent, Brian. You're always innocent.
Of course.
Right,
Of course.
right.
You know, I'm an impartial moderator. Oh,
hey,
man.
you know what? I may invite one or two opposing views to join us now, you know, in the near future to see if they're, I'll at least ask if they're interested.
Okay, absolutely.
I'd love to have a little, you know, a little back and forth just to.
Yeah,
point.
you know,
Yeah.
I don't mind, you know, civility is something that we've really lost a lot of. You know, like I and it's funny because in my job, I normally talk to different hotels and backgrounds and stuff like that. And I try to steer clear away of anything political, but so many things in politics affect so many things in our daily lives that you can't really separate the two in a lot of ways because some are intertwined. In my business, in the hospitality industry, travel is affected because if the government starts shutting down travel, it affects these business owners and their ability to pay their employees and keep their properties open. Then I got one that's in a state where they're good because they were able to take advantage of the PPP loan. So they got 6 months of their mortgage paid. So he's good. He's like, nah, I'm not in any desperation to just check in any and everybody because, you know, bills are paid. I'm like, how nice.
Right.
So they've been able to take advantage of that. But all of that is a crossover of what's going on in politics and why it's important to advocate for certain things because it affects all these industries and stuff. They can't act like it doesn't affect them. So now we're talking about vaccines. I had a hotel in Michigan today, and one of the guys was mad because of what Whitmer is trying to do with shutting it down. Then he starts talking about, man, I even heard the masks don't even do what they said it's going to do. But we're doing all these changes, and it only barely gives you an extra amount of protection. And I just think that's ridiculous. And I said, hey, man, I ain't going one way or the other on this. I said, but just take 2 steps back. You have to think about the safety and well-being of your family. This governor has to think about the safety and well-being of the entire state. So maybe she's just erring on caution. And he was like, yeah, it's true. I said, you know, I don't envy her. I wouldn't want that job. I said, especially when you can show to the state capitol and people can walk in there armed. People plotting to sit there and kidnap you and potentially kill you. And now we find out that, oh, they wasn't just going to stop with her. They was going to bum rush the whole government and then take them all out.
Right.
Which is actually the title of this show, Insurrection 2020. How about it? You know, it's funny because I wasn't going to bring this up because I don't like to give a whole lot of light to stupid stuff, but I'm going to make an exception. We had an event the past weekend called the Million MAGA March. Now, I just kind of think it's funny that as much as the people that went to this event denigrate and try to disenfranchise Black people, they named their event after one of the largest mobilized Black events. They called it, instead of the Million Man March, the Million MAGA March. Now, what we marched for is something that was totally legitimate against what they did, and we actually produced 1 million people. They didn't do that. They got about, 15,000?
Right.
And, you know, here's my thing. Stop taking our stuff. Come up with a different name. Because if you want to keep taking our stuff, I got a better one for you. It shouldn't have been the Million MAGA March. How about Colt 45?
Well, man, what I can tell you about that is if you go
you tell me about Colt 45, or you tell me about the march?
I'm talking about just you talking about stealing stuff. If you just go back in history, and it's all stolen, right? You know, Sweat Equity, you know, Elvis stealing from Little Richard and James Brown.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's everywhere, right? You know, where it'd be TV shows like Friends that stole from other Black TV shows and their ideas and stuff. So, and just like those examples and stuff, they're not quite as good as the originals. So,
right.
I mean, so yeah, I mean, it made sense that it was a knockoff. And it made sense that those people were delusional who were there because the same kind of thing happens over and over again.
Yeah. I just thought it was interesting that they put this together. They used a lot of groups like Proud Boys and some of these other supremacist groups and things like that to go up and, you know, which I believe in protests. If you want to go out, I don't care what you protest, as long as it's peaceful. That's your First Amendment right. It's funny how they exercise their right to protest, but won't recognize people's rights to vote,
right,
and for their votes to be counted.
Right. Now,
Colin Kaepernick, I'm taking it back to Colin, simply got on his knee. And it was, oh, you anti-American, you anti-against the USA, people died and bled and fought our military, this and that and the third. Yet you are now going around trying to intimidate people from counting votes. You're trying to disenfranchise people from voting. You're now trying to cancel entire cities' votes and just say, well, Judge, I don't have any proof of anything, but can you just throw them out for us? Can you do me a solid?
Right.
Now, I heard of white privilege, but damn, if you think you can just walk in and have a judge just throw out a whole city worth of ballots, well, you got more privilege than I could have ever imagined.
Right.
Well, I mean, so I'm a rant for a second. So it's hard being a Black man in America, right? And for so many different reasons. And if you want to talk about overthrows of government and stuff, just Google like 1896 or 1886, Wilmington, North Carolina, and tell me what you find there. That's the insurrection of some duly elected post-slavery Civil War time elected Black officials out there that were overthrown by white mobs and stuff. So when I keep talking about history and stuff, it's because this stuff's not new, right? Like I said, it's hard being a Black man in America because every time you're critical of America and the things, it's always painted as being unpatriotic, i.e. your example of Colin Kaepernick. And so, and I think it's one of those things that as you see that Black people are vested in this country. You know, a lot of the racist slanderers go back to Africa and stuff. It's like, man, we didn't pay for the ticket over here in the first place. This is home. And we built this place, and you're not going to run me off simply because I love her so much, I'm going to criticize her because I want her to stand up for the ideals that she professes to be about. And those things should include me too. You know, again, I talked about the hypocrisy last week of being able to ask for your own independence and stuff while having slaves and stuff. But the one thing I did want to bring up, you know, for this whole election thing and is that we've seen this before. We've seen the sore losers in the South before, just going back to the Civil War, right? Because the South didn't want to admit defeat then. And it turned into the lost cause. And the South will rise again in Dixie. And what I would caution about history is that I kind of see it playing out again, where this is the new lost cause. There's no way that we could have lost. Kind of thing. And remember, in following that, late 1800s, early 1900s, people were protesting. The Klan was protesting. They were wrestling political power again. Look at Wilmington. They were wrestling political power away. They were disenfranchising Black people because they didn't want our votes. like I said, this is not a new playbook by any means and stuff. All you got to do is dig, and you can see the correlation and stuff.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think with Colin Kaepernick, we talked about how he was saying, you know, he wasn't saying I'm against the flag, I'm against the United States, I'm against America. He's saying, look, there's a problem out here in this country that we need to pay attention to. Let's pay attention. Let's stop for a minute and take a look at police brutality. These cases are happening here, here, here. And I think another privilege is that white folks can, and I hate generalizing, but this is what we're talking about. White folks can look at this case and want to talk about this case and how this case was this way. And no, we're seeing a pattern that's going over 100 years. You know what I mean? So my daughter, who's, college age, she talks about, she's always connected online, and she's talking about this case and that case. There was another shooting in Florida just this week where 2 teenage boys were shot in a car. Both of them were killed by the police as they were driving away. And look, we can talk about, the specifics of the case, but we're talking about a pattern because I say to my daughter, well, when I was your age, there were, these cases, Eleanor Bumpers, and, we can go through the list, and it goes back to 20 years before that, and that generation, and the generation before that. Most of the riots that are well known, the Watts, the Newark, and all of those started, Detroit, all of those started with a killing of a black man by a police officer. You know what I mean? So it's not new to us. And Kaepernick was saying, look, it's boiling up again. Let's take a look at it. And people, you saw the response. What was Trump's response? Get him the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Like nastily, get him the hell out of here. And, 3 or 4 years fast forward, and now the streets are on fire all over the country.
It's funny how, somebody yells fire, and instead of addressing the building that's burning, you get mad at the guy that told you it was burning.
Right. Sit back down. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, I think it's funny too when you talk about some of the the lame defenses for the subject matter for police brutality and stuff. A lot of people say, well, they're killing white people too. Well, you don't think that's a problem? I mean, obviously we think it's a problem, and we're focused on that in our communities and stuff. But for you to really say, hey, look, the police kill everybody. Well, then police brutality is a problem then. Mm-hmm. No, we're okay with our numbers. Mm-hmm. Because we only make up 13 to 15% of the population. Our numbers are kind of skewed. We kind of care, and there's a history behind it in this country that a lot of people don't want to address. And I understand, because as Thanksgiving rolls around and stuff, you got a pedophile uncle that comes Thanksgiving and stuff, and don't nobody want to talk about him. We all in our families, and we family in America, we all in the family and stuff don't want to address the elephants in the room and stuff. We just much rather they just stay hidden.
That's right.
Pretty much. And it's funny, but the glowing hypocrisy, now in this digital age, nothing ages well at all. If you say something, there's normally a tweet or a clip that can be pulled back up to show that you were on the other side of it. And the only thing that changed is now it's going against you or it's going for you to be in case of that. One perfect example recently was Lindsey Graham's profession that, a whole thing about, well, if there's a Supreme Court nominee in the last year of President Trump's term and we're already in the presidential election, you can mark my words. You can use my words against me. We're going to wait till the next administration. Hello, Amy Coney Barrett. How are you? And it's kind of funny how fast Ruth Bader Ginsburg's body wasn't even totally cold, that now she's sitting in her chair. And now you also hear Republicans 4 years ago calling Democrats sore losers. Donald Trump won. He's your president, except that you're being a sore loser. Hillary Clinton did concede, but she's given all these reasons as to why she lost. She said it was Russia. She said it was this. She said it was that. How about you just say you were a bad candidate and the best person won? We're president and you're not. Yada, 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 yada.
Right.
Well, that,
Damn, 4 years don't age well, do it.
That's right.
When you talk about that and you talk about being civil and stuff and having those civil discussions and stuff, that's why, as I get older and stuff, I get a little bit more militant. I think that's the word. and so I'm not up for those discussions because they're not in good faith, right? Now, I'm like, I had to take a page from Brad's book and say that I generalize. I hate to generalize. When I say white people, I know that they're not a monolith, right? And, they're not up and down. They're not. Everybody's not somebody's racist and stuff. I've got lots of great friends. Yeah, I got white friends, so I can't be racist.
I've got a white person in my house.
I had a white person in my house.
There might be one in here right now.
He was in my house. No, but seriously, so, and I hate for the tone, the sound. And again, it's hard being a black man trying to express yourself because it comes off as angry and unpatriotic and all these other things. Again, the Colin Kaepernick kind of thing. But but like I said, the things with Lindsey, with the Republican Party has said and done, don't believe what they say, believe what they do. Mm-hmm. And so in my mind, it's one of the things that I wish Joe Biden would take and the Democratic Party would take a real stance on, hey, we understand that you are not good faith givers of anything. And so the only reason that they're talking about that now is because they believe that they might lose those 2 seats in Georgia, which will flip the Senate and stuff. And then at that point, they'd be like, hey, you need to listen to the minority party. Well, they've been packing courts. And if you understand, McConnell just went to recess after putting 4 more lifetime judges on the bench.
Yep.
And not pass anything in terms of coronavirus, not just relief, just anything other than that, because they're trying to get their stuff in before they get kicked out and they can't do it anymore. And I just wish Democrats, and including Joe Biden, sitting the tone and going, hey, you remember when you said that 302 was a landslide, it's historic and stuff, and that meant that you guys had a mandate. Well, I've got a mandate, so I don't have to listen to you, just like you didn't want to listen to us. And that whole I'm gonna reach across the aisle thing, I'm gonna reach across the aisle and turn your microphone off. But I think, like I say, it's one thing to have another viewpoint. It's another thing to be in another reality. And unfortunately for us in America and stuff, as black men and stuff, we're forced to be down in the dirt and reality and stuff, while other people can have these lofty ideas about what should be, or I don't believe this just off of happenstance because I don't believe. But we're forced to deal with that reality. And in terms of my reality and stuff, I don't want to have a civil conversation because I don't think one can be had.
So I need to ask the question of what the hell was that we saw today? What was that 90-minute press conference with Rudy Giuliani and the sycophants behind him and his Grecian formula, down the side of it? Bro, what was that?
I got a good barber.
Is this what we've been reduced to?
Yeah.
Is this what we've been? I mean, what the hell? He's no longer. He's lost his grip on reality, and I don't want to be too paranoid, but I'm afraid of what Trump is building up to. Remember, I said, well, there's a shot that he's gonna have some reflection, and he's gonna say, you know what, my legacy was good. I'm out of here. No, this dude, he's really digging in, and it's not Trump that I'm worried about, because I think the institutions, and I think eventually the politicians are strong enough to get him out. The issue for me is his followers, the people who do as he says, and he's commanding them every day, all caps. I won the election. Fraud. And now we get this 90-minute press conference today of these folks, and as reporters were questioning them, well, what kind of proof do you have? Well, what about this and what about that? Yeah. Oh, you don't believe. You're the false media. You're the fake media. You don't believe. Wake up, America. Like, this is what the presidency of the United States has been boiled down to, and it's maddening. I don't understand it.
Well, Brad, I equate it, and I know, some people are going to say, well, Brian, that's a little extreme. Actually, it's really not. But, terrorism didn't end when Saddam Hussein got thrown off that carrier in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
It was alive and well. So because he radicalized enough people, and other people were already radicalized, some of it because of our own actions here, and they hate America for the things that we stand for. But terrorism didn't. We blame 9/11. We talk about Saddam Hussein and not Saddam Hussein.
Bin Laden.
Bin Laden. I'm sorry.
Right,
Bin Laden.
Right.
We talk about Bin Laden and everything else in 9/11, but okay, Bin Laden's we wiped him off the board. That didn't stop anything. We still have issues worldwide. And what I mean with Trump is even Trump's proximity to the White House has nothing to do with his power over the Republican Party. Mm-hmm. That was just icing on the cake for him. He took a hold of that party, and he is now in control of it to the point that people that know better, that had devoted their lives to public service, are now so afraid of losing that power that they will not tell a grown-ass man, you lost. It's over. If you really care about America first, if you really care about this country, tone it down and work with a peaceful transition of power as we have done over the last 240 years. You're watching him take it down brick by brick just so you don't get on his bad side on Twitter. He doesn't do anything outside of Twitter. He's fired 2 people in the last week on Twitter.
Well,
because he's a strong man.
But you got to recognize that the reason that people are afraid is because he fires people through an app, a social media app.
Yeah. But he's against cancel culture.
Yeah. So, but so you talk about the power and stuff, and we for so long have had some, and that's another thing for the Democrats to look at is that there for so long there have been some norms, right? Not policies, not laws, but norms,
right?
That we depend on and stuff. Like, it's a norm. I knock on your door before I come in, right?
Right.
But there's really not, I mean, could I open the door? Well, let's see. If I open the door, is anybody going to stop me?
Right.
Well, I'm in the house now. Okay, well, I'm hungry. Well, maybe I'll rifle through the fridge. I mean, normally I would ask, but you let me through the door, so why not? And so you see the breakdowns of what we consider social norms, democratic norms, and what's really been exposed is, like you said, but this is something that we've known for years, is that complete power corrupts completely. Right. And people will do whatever they need to do in order to stay in their positions and stuff for whatever reason, whether this is the top of my political career, and therefore I'm not going to anger whoever's my boss. I mean, because I don't think anybody goes to work going, I'm going to piss my boss off. And somebody who's worked for somebody who's a little bit back and forth about their attitude and stuff, you're walking on eggshells and stuff when you go to work, and you don't know who you're going to come into that day and stuff. A lot of people were afraid of this man, and for good reason. But my thing to you is that he did not create this. He is a product of it.
Yep.
And you just have to kind of recognize that now he's galvanized his base, right? And he's made it stronger. But it's just like the South, and the reason I brought it up early in the episode is that this reminds me so much of the South of we did not lose. And the idea is not going away, and we're going to start, putting in laws and stuff to make sure that we retain our power and our pride, because a lot of this is prideful, right? because he obviously lost. But it's pride right now. And like Brad was talking about that 90 minutes of whatever that was, nothing that you and I could get away with on TV. No one would take 5 minutes with us talking that kind of crazy on TV.
Right.
So the way that even as he moves away from the White House and stuff, he's very much in control of that party.
Yep. Yeah.
So a couple of things happened with him letting go of the Department of Defense, the guy who ran the defense, the guy who says, maybe it's not a good idea that we go over to attack Iran. He's gone. The guy who says, no, I'm not going to use the military to go out and attack U.S. citizens who are peacefully protesting. He's gone. You know what I mean? So Trump is kind of clearing the path for maybe some of the things that he wants to do over the next 30, 60 days. And that's kind of scary. And yet, he's only left the White House, I think, once or twice since Election Day. Both times were to play golf.
Oh, that's right.
He drove
and then he went to Arlington Cemetery for Veterans Day.
Right, that's right. I'm sorry. He did. And he drove right through his MAGA folks.
Right, on the way.
On the way to, and the reaction of the crowd when they knew it was him, I thought it was Jesus himself. I mean, they ran to the car, they ran to the motorcade. At some point, he needs to be taken out of office. You know what I mean? Before Inauguration Day, I think he's lost his grip. Who knows what he's planning? And then we always got to ask the question, well, what does Putin want? You know what I mean? What is this part of Putin's plans for him to something?
Absolutely.
I don't know. You have to question.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing you have to think about right now is that he's creating as many, and I kind of saw this on social media, that they're trying to create as many fires for the Biden administration that when they get in, they won't be able to put them all out and stuff.
Yeah.
And so, and there was conversations about, like I said, the Iran thing, that Iran was building up their nuclear program and stuff, and he inquired about what his options for going in there and blowing up the reactor and stuff would be, which obviously we're looking at a conflict and stuff. And some people have even guessed that, well, maybe he's trying to stay in office through conflict and stuff, which we all know that doesn't mean anything. Your term's over on the 20th at noon. So it doesn't matter what you start, but it does matter how we have to finish and what we have to deal with and stuff, which is kind of one of the reasons that I said a couple episodes ago about us black people and stuff. If Trump wins, okay, if Biden wins, okay, because America still is kicking us in the gut and stuff. And I'm not really sure there's marked improvement from 8 white men being in the office, not previously helping us as a community and stuff. But Brad, you're right. It is getting kind of dangerous because you see kind of moves when he takes Krebs out, when he takes Espers out of DOD, when he's firing people, and you think to yourself, who would even take a job for like 60 days? Because at this point, while those jobs would normally be good resume builders, you got to think that there's some tarnish out there. But then again, there's 70 million people out there who support this stuff. So, I mean, obviously they can work somewhere.
Well, and that kind of made me think about it on the flip side. And I'll give you a perfect example. When the only time you normally get a politician to be truthful and as open and upfront is when they aren't running for re-election anymore. At the end of this term, I will be retiring after 87 years in Congress. And now I finally have the balls to say what I've always wanted to say. Then they finally can critique and say this and say that. And you're going, well, dang, dog, where was that honesty 4 years ago? They feel a little bit more empowered to say something because they're not going to have to run for office. They're not having to worry about a primary. And it's so discouraging that your profile and courage comes when you really don't have anything to lose.
Well, that's kind of thing, man, because you remember, while they're politicians, they've got tons of donors that they have to appease, and they just can't say. And it's unfortunate that Politicians don't really work for people; they work for corporations,
Right.
Which the courts ruled were people. So I guess they do work for people. But they, to your point, yeah, they get more because I don't have to appease anybody anymore, and I can say what's really on my mind. But that's not really what the deal is when they're in office.
No, I get it. But my point too is, so now most people that aren't delusional, even in the Trump administration, understand and recognize that in 60 days, you probably won't have a job anymore because you're probably not going to be retained. You have nothing to lose in just being honest now or doing your job. If you get fired, you're gonna get fired in 2 months anyway. So, GSA administrator, why are you so worried about this madman? There's going to be a new GSA administrator in 61 days. Do your job.
Right.
Certify or acknowledge who the apparent winner is. Allow them access for this peaceful transfer. Why are you still holding on to this man when you ain't got but 60 more days anyway?
Right. Well, I guess, and I would say, and I'll let Brad, because I know he's trying to hop in real quick. Again, understand that just like the GSA administrator and the rumors about her looking for a job because she's probably going to be out of a job and stuff. Well, who's going to employ her?
But you're screwing yourself either way.
No, you're not.
Because your name is connected to him. No matter what you do.
There's 70 million people that voted for him. Who do you think she's trying to appease? Who's going to employ her? Because understand, reach across the aisle and stuff. We know what her name is now. She's not going to get a job.
That's true. That's true.
So fit everybody else in that box too. Why are they holding strong so much? Because I know there's a strong base out there. Why are politicians still holding on to them so tight? I know there's a strong base still out there.
Fox News,
they'll be welcome.
Yeah,
they'll be welcome.
I can't be a man with no land.
So what you're talking about is Jeff Flake. Remember Jeff Flake when he decided he was no longer. He spoke truthfully. But look at the gentleman up in liberal-leaning Massachusetts, the Republican governor, twice has come out and said, no. This guy's a clown. Get him the hell out of here. The election's over. And one time he was pretty indignant, like what the hell is going on? Who is this guy? No. That's the way it goes. Our institute before you. So no, get out of here. Twice he's done that. I haven't seen it on, like the national news or anything like that. I've seen it in posts. But no, we're the Republicans like him. We know Romney has a stain on him. We know that they don't really like Romney anyway. But Romney's come out and openly said, nah, I don't think so.
Right.
We're
Romney
Republicans.
is independent.
That's why I'm saying we need to.
Black grandson. He could be more forceful.
Who's that, Romney?
He could be. Yeah. Romney could be. Yeah. He's got a safe seat in Utah. No one's taking his seat. Yeah. He could say what he wanted to. But again, there's still that strong base that they might turn on him. Right. It's not like he needs the money.
Trump tried to stop him from running out there, or he tried to stop him from being successful, and that wasn't going to happen.
It wasn't going to happen.
Out there. Yeah.
Utah is one of those states where, they're more, tied to Romney than they are to the presidential candidate. So, and he has a firewall that a lot of them don't enjoy. I get that. I get the point that the fear is that if you piss Trump off now, he can then promote somebody to primary you and convince his millions and millions of followers to back that person and outraise you, move the donors over to them and basically put you out. But my God, man, at some point, does your conscience mean anything?
Right.
No.
Or selling your soul to the devil, just the end game. Is that the end game now?
That's not the end game. That's the American way. What are you talking about? I guess in these conversations, this is where I get confused when we talk about government or politicians and there being some morality tied to those things and stuff. I've said it over and over again. When Lincoln did the Emancipation and Proclamation, it was not out of a morality or a humbleness or we've been doing things wrong and stuff. We're trying to cripple the South. That's what that was about. if all America speaks about and all this, about freedom and justice and this and that, we have some really, really black stains in our history that we still don't acknowledge that they're there. They're still there. And so when you talk about politicians and some sense of dignity or morality and stuff, that's not what that's about.
Right.
Not, at least not on the federal level. Now, will I give it? There's some local people who really are trying to look out for their communities and stuff. But you got to understand that their envelope of power is small, right? And the higher you get up, the more power you get, and the less it's about helping people, and it is about the power.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got a guy that's fighting to overturn the election for a job that he doesn't even want.
Right. Right.
He doesn't want to do the job.
He never worked. He never worked.
Yeah.
Right.
It was painfully clear that he watched TV all morning. I mean, he would call in the talk shows 2 and 3 hours at a time. The things that he was supposed to pay attention to, and we heard it from inside sources, he didn't read the reports. He barely sat in. He missed a lot of meetings. He hasn't been to a coronavirus meeting in over 6 months. So he does not want to work. He wanted to run the White House or the USA just like he ran his corporation. And you can't do that. You cannot be that painfully absent and run a country where issues are popping up daily. You just can't do that. He's not fit for office.
Well, he believes his own press. And what I mean by that is Jermaine said earlier that, he didn't create this, this isn't something new. He doesn't create anything. He just simply, he slaps his name on it, and it's Trump steaks, it's Trump water. This hotel, oh, it used to be this, I just slapped my name on it. Trump ties. He just slaps his name on something and likes to take the credit for it, like he did with Obama's economy. But he doesn't want to slap it on the response to the coronavirus, but he wants to slap it on to the vaccines. That's how he is. He's an opportunist. And that should be very scary and dangerous because it doesn't really matter what side you're on. Like right now, the Republicans are fighting for their lives to win those 2 Georgia seats. He don't care. And I'm gonna tell you why he don't care. Because he could have screwed them over in this election. You disenfranchise your own voters to believe that mail-in ballots were an evil thing. So I want y'all to risk getting sick and voting in person. Now you're disenfranchising them by telling them that the ballot machines by Dominion, which has some connections to George Soros and Venezuela, rigged the election against you, changed votes for you somehow to Joe Biden, which I'm wondering if they could have done that. Why the hell didn't they change a couple of the Senate ones too, so we wouldn't have to worry about a runoff?
Yeah, it doesn't make
sense. The machine that arbitrarily changed you off the ballot left the Republicans on the ballot, so Tom Tillis still won. We would have got rid of Tom. We would have got rid of Lindsey Graham. We would have got rid of Turtle Man McConnell.
That's right.
So if we were really trying to rig this, why did we lose House seats?
Oh, we would have really conflicted those machines to get rid of those 2. You know what I mean?
We were really that smart.
Why did we lose
those 2 House seats?
Right. But it doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to make sense. It just has to feed the fire of the conspiracy of the QAnon and everything else, because that's why they'll throw out these names. They'll say Soros, and that lights a fire. You know what I mean?
Right.
People on the left and the right are wary of Soros and Bill Gates. You throw those names out there, and people say, "Oh yeah, they're filthy rich. They must be dirty." It's got to be something related to that. So, yeah, the Dominion thing, I don't know where it comes from. Like they always say, present it in the court of law. And let's see where it goes, because it's not going anywhere.
Well, in the court of law, they've brought approximately 25 cases to the courts, and they're getting laughed out of court one by one by one. Now Giuliani, they did win one case.
Was that Pennsylvania?
It was Pennsylvania. There was them being able to stand closer, 6 feet because of the social distancing, because they were standing like 10 or 20 feet. I forget which one it was. So they
25.
won that case, and they could stand 6 feet away. So they do have a win.
They do have a win. Every other thing where the judge basically asked, what evidence do you have? The lawyer said, none. And the judge said, what's your problem then? Now, lawyers understanding that the more times they show up with no clothes on, they're looking ridiculous, are backing away from him. And now that's where this whole clown show of Giuliani's coming up, because he's like, hey, I'll gladly debase myself. I ain't been in the courtroom in 30 years. Let's go. Oh, but by the way, I want you to pay me $20,000 a day to make a fool out of myself.
Well worth it.
As if Borat didn't already do that to you.
He was stuck in the shirt now.
Yeah,
he was stuck in the shirt. You know,
yeah,
I was sitting there.
Yeah, that's how I took my shirt in too.
Is it?
I think Jeffrey Toobin should have used that defense. I'm just tucking my shirt in. What do you mean?
I was actually.
You all need some Penetrax?
If Trump really wanted to flex his muscle and stuff, he would actually take his support away and wouldn't back the two candidates in Georgia. So follow me on this.
Yeah.
Just to show the Republican Party that in 2024 he's their candidate, because if he's not their candidate, they're going to lose, and he can demonstrate it now. Because really, what does it mean to him? Because I mean, he's in government now and doesn't really care. What would it mean to him when he's out of government? Who's in control of the House or Senate and stuff? He wouldn't care anything about that. But it would flex his muscle enough to let the Republicans know that I'm still your dude, and if you don't bow down to me,
I'm going to give Joe Biden control of the House, control of the Senate. Let him push his agenda for 4 years, and you'll be begging for me to come back.
You'll be begging for me. Yeah, you'll be begging for me.
So I know I always, you get your passions that get out in front of your thinking. And now I'm to the point, again, the more I watch Fox News and little snippets, the more angrier I get. I'm like, I want what do they call them? The big four? What do they call what do they call the women?
The squad?
The squad.
AOC plus 3.
I'm like, get them. Like, let's go. Let's go. Let's take this bag and go way to the left. You know what I mean? Let's run way to let's make all of their premonitions come true. We're gonna go to socialized medicine. We're gonna do everything. We're gonna get rid of the military. We're gonna get rid of the police. I mean, all their wild fantasies. Let's make them come true. You know what I mean? Because they're going on with this and they're continuing down the street. It's to the point where, look, they're ready to go to war over this, and they're telling us they're ready to. This is the line in the sand.
Yes.
When this guy gets thrown out of office, we're ready to fight. They're telling us that. They've been telling us that for 6 months now. The more and more he stands and keeps them ready, stand back and stand by, they're ready. They're ready, and they're armed. I mean, they're not armed to deal with the army, but that's another point. Is at what point will, and we take it from history classes when they say, well, didn't the German soldiers know that what they were doing was wrong? Well, yes, but they were following orders. So at what point during these last 60 days, if he gives commands and orders to do certain things overseas or even here, at what point do soldiers start to say, "No, I'm not doing that"?
When it becomes illegal.
You're a lame duck. I'm not.
I think so. The one of the things, and being a part of our great armed forces myself,
right.
One of the things that's kind of beat into you, it's lawful and unlawful stuff, and so there's a criteria out there, right? And so if he ordered somebody to go there and destroy that reactor and stuff, is that necessarily unlawful? It's not. The consequences and cascading effects of those things, that's a higher level kind of decision. But if it got through that decision making, you have to understand that, like, when drones fire on people, there's a lawyer there before drones fire. Like, they have to run those kill orders to make sure that they're doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. And so there are some mechanics within the military. The one thing we say about the police, though, is that there's, so the military, one of the things, the new military is a national organization, right? And so when there's a edict that comes down from DC, it applies to everybody. Unfortunately, in South Carolina, if somebody's down in Columbia and stuff, that police department can do whatever it wants to do. And so that's what it is nationally. And that's part of, we round back to police brutality and stuff, and why we can't have a coherent reform about police and stuff, because they're allowed, especially sheriffs, are allowed to do whatever the hell they want to do.
Right. Absolute power.
And so, but I would say nationally, if you're worried about tanks rolling down the street, I wouldn't worry about that. I think I think the fascist alarm comes off on that one. The dictator alarm comes off on that one. Like, for what reason particularly would you like that to happen? And in fact, for anybody who's worried about that, that would actually kind of be the deal breaker, right? Is for him to go that far and order that stuff, and that will get him escorted out. So he's not going to do that, and that's why he's asking for this advice. Like, well, what can I do? How much shit can I fuck up before I lose my deposit?
Yeah.
So follow me on this one. So say, for example, the case in Florida that just happened, hot off the presses. We know for a fact, well, I don't know, and I don't want to assume, but, there may be protests. Things may get out of hand. This is Florida, again, which had a case, several years ago, and it was hot. So now people out in the street again, you've got a Republican governor in DeSantis who will do anything Trump says. So remember, he always says, well, we're ready with the National Guard. We just have to be invited in by the governor.
Mm-hmm.
You've got DeSantis who would invite him in. It would be interesting to see how that played out.
So there's a couple things, Brad, for that. Is that you got to understand that even if the governor wants to go, because I'm in National Guard, I work for the governor of North Carolina in that capacity and stuff. And if the governor activates us, we're activated. But you also have to understand there's jurisdiction things in that too. Is that he'd also have to declare martial law in that to override the local government and their ability to govern themselves and stuff. And that's what we kind of saw out in Portland, right? The same kind of thing where you had federal troops coming in and trying to bag and snatch people. But the local government was like, hey, y'all need to get out of here with that. But we're just protecting federal stuff. Well, you need to get on federal property because we're in the streets. These are our streets. You don't have the jurisdiction. And so this is the big end. So here's the great thing about that. When we talk about the South, it's states' rights, because that's what it was about. It was about, I mean, I don't have any warming lube, but I'm gonna give you the wink anyway. It's about states' rights. Right. And so for those kind of people, they have to understand that, like, you talk about DeSantis and stuff. Well, states' rights, local rights, right? Because we govern ourselves better than people from outside our area and stuff. So you can't just flood our streets with armed troops and stuff. There's procedures, there's other things for that. And you're right, there might be protests and stuff. And of course, armed people walking through Michigan or MAGA March and stuff, where was their tear gas? Where were their dogs and stuff? Where's all that stuff? No, they're fine. Well, they were fighting too. They were doing other things too. It's just our protests. Again, it's hard being Black in America and trying to stand up for yourself, because for people that have oppressed Black people for so long, when you stand up too quick, it looks like you're about to swing. And so they immediately get defensive and go, okay, well, we need to put this down because because no matter what they say, even at my job, I've been in the military and there'd be 2 or 3 Black people talking together, and a white person will walk down and make, to them a funny comment. Oh, what y'all planning something? And any Black person ever worked around majority white people has probably heard that if 2 or 3 of the Black people in the office side, they want to go get lunch, stuff like that. Or y'all having a meeting? Y'all having your meeting stuff? Like, hey man, there's always a fear of us, and so we should be proud of that they understand what kind of power we have when we unite. If we would understand that, I think that would be better.
Right.
Well, I mean, all of that is very informational, Jay. I appreciate that. We're going to wrap this one up because we've hit about our hour mark, and yeah. But on a lighter note, Brad,
sure,
your Knicks pick topping.
How did you know I was a Knicks fan? Where did that come from?
Yeah, exactly. Your Knicks pick topping. How about that?
Yes, indeed.
You okay with that?
Mr. Obi Toppin, he went to the high school right down the road. My daughter went to the same school. They graduated from the same school. We are ecstatic. We didn't think we could get him at 8. We thought he was going to go 5, 6. So when he fell to 8, it was beautiful. We're going to send the state of Ohio, dirty water hot dogs and and some hot pretzels because it worked out well for them. It worked out great for us. We're going to be back and we're going to dominate the NBA real soon. Real soon.
Real soon, like
you guys picked up LaMelo, am I right?
Yeah,
that is correct.
Yeah.
Nice.
I wasn't in love with that because that seems like more flash than anything, and
okay.
I just want to win. I don't want no flash. So I hope he really can lead a team and do all these other things.
It's somebody who's watched Hornets basketball for so long, and that's the reason I wanted to give Trump his 1 win out of 25 because I'm used to those kind of records being a Hornets fan. You got to hang on to that win, man. I'll tell you, at this point for the Hornets and stuff, if he could just come in and make it entertaining, I would take that. And you talk about dominating the league. I'm talking about filling the stands and actually, not leaving at halftime to go walk around and see who's around, but actually still being entertained by the game and stuff. And if Melo can bring that to the city, I'd welcome that. Even with his daddy, I'll sell his daddy a house. In fact, please come see me. I just got my big license and stuff. So Jermaine Parker Realty is out there advertised now. So yeah, I will definitely get the balls in the house.
Reach out to him. Absolutely, reach out to him.
I will give you the lowest commission rate in the city just to sell you one house.
Bingo.
Guaranteed.
I can't think of the young man's name, but he went to our alma mater, West Charlotte High School. Went to Florida State. Now he's going to the Chicago Bulls. So congratulations to him too. That was actually very, very nice.
Oh, the number 4 pick, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I believe.
Yeah, big man. And so he's he went to our alma mater. So yeah, that's a pretty cool thing. Pretty cool thing.
Yeah, it makes you pretty proud. Yeah, it makes you proud.
and then Cole Anthony, UNC Tar Heel, actually made it over to the Orlando Magic. So congratulations to him too, and all the young men. It was funny being able to see them, surprised and stuff during the draft and breaking down because they know they're gonna be able to take care of their families and stuff. So some of the American dreams.
Patrick Williams was his name.
Yes,
Right.
yes. Thank you, Jermaine. So yeah, congratulations to all of the guys from the NBA draft last night. Hey, we like to talk about all kinds of good things. So good things are happening. Another good thing that I just got the other day in the mail is going to be a promised land by Mr. Barack Hussein Obama. This thing's 700 pages, y'all. So
wow,
it's going to be
cut and paste from his other stuff.
Huh?
I already cut and paste from his other stuff.
Oh, okay. He pulled it Melania. I got you.
A little Melania on it.
At least he plagiarized himself, Now, if I start reading portions of this and go, wait a minute, I think I read this in Becoming.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Plagiarized, wiped out.
Right. He took it from the smarter Obama, right?
Yeah. Hey, where do you think my ideas come from? They come from my wife. They come from the smarter part of my team.
Absolutely.
There you go. And you recycle it. That's what you do. You got to
coordinate.
You got to coordinate it.
You got to coordinate.
Well, guys, I do appreciate it. And audience out there, again, if you want to be on this panel, we don't just look for people that lean our way or agree totally with us. There is something very healthy about looking at stuff from totally different directions and everything else. So we're certainly not just looking for carbon copies of ourselves, people that just want to come on and be yep. But, if you have something to offer, if you have a view, you're passionate about it, but you have some facts or whatever to back it up with, hey, bring it on. We'd love to hear it. It's called Head to Head. You heard? So I don't mind doing that. But always make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube. Every time we post a video, every time I go live and do an update, which is about 3 to 4 times a week, I will break in. I will go live for 20 to 30 minutes, just giving a nice, fresh view of things that are happening in real time. When I do that, normally it is live on Roku, it is live on Facebook, and it is live on YouTube all at the same time. So I'll do that. If you want to advertise anything, if there's any kind of good service or event that you would like to promote during any of those events, please reach out to us at theparkermedia@gmail.com, and we'll certainly do that. Next week, we're going to be off because most of us are going to be having Thanksgiving dinner and getting ready to probably see the Cowboys lose. So it's going to be a great day, especially Cowboys losing.
I don't know. There may have to be an emergency session next week, depending on what happens.
Yeah, depending on what happens, we might have to come in on Wednesday.
Be on the ready. That's right. Yeah. Stay locked and loaded. That's right.
Yeah. Stand back and stay ready. Right. And you notice every time he does that, he's throwing up the white power sign when he does it.
Absolutely.
Every time he acts like because there's no finer point that you're trying to get. Mm-hmm. You get real close to the white. Yeah, you're getting real close to that sign. Every time he talks, he does it. Anyway, I'm going to thank my panel, Jermaine Parker, Brad Coughlin. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate y'all for what you do. I will see you again next week. Y'all stay safe. And as always, wear a damn mask. I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all be good.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for